Welcome. Once more, we're going to be looking at the written expression in order to make sure that your writing is of a reasonably high standard when it comes to suiting the scholarship exam. Not only the scholarship exam, but it will help you throughout your entire educational process, because writing is, of course, one of the imperative parts of education, and therefore these ideas will help you throughout your schooling years. Now, the next piece that we have in front of us is once more an illustration. In this case, use this illustration for a piece of writing. Notice it's a pig or a money box in the shape of a pig, and we have a coin being dropped into it. Now, we can either write a creative piece, or again, we can write a persuasive piece or an expository piece, which is merely an explanation. It's up to you. With a particular piece like this, I would probably myself write an expository piece or an explanation piece. Simply by the fact is that with a story, I would feel that I would be fairly limited. I would either have to write a cliched story about me saving up to buy something or saving up for a present for somebody else. A huge number of students will actually do this. That'll be the first thing that comes to their mind. And remember, one of the things you are being tested upon is originality. So a strong opening paragraph is absolutely essential. Now, one type of introduction easy to master and reasonably effective is what we call generalized focus survey structure. Now, this is a 4 or 5 sentence paragraph in which the first sentence generalizes about the given topic. The second sentence focuses on what you have chosen to discuss. And the last 1 or 2 sentences survey the particulars you intend to present. So I would probably use the generalized focus survey for this particular essay. So we look at it and we say, before we put pen to paper, okay, what would be my central point of view on this particular element? So again, as I said, we would have to say to ourselves, what would be my general term for this particular one? So we would the general term for this particular one would be finance. So that would be the general term, because as I said, it's about saving. So finance is the general term. Then we would have to say, okay, so what's our focused term here? Okay. So with the focused term, we might say to ourselves, okay, the economy itself, which is part of along those lines. And then we have the aspects to survey, all right? So what would be the aspects that we could actually survey on such a particular topic as this one? So we might say to ourselves, all right, they're all the sort of elements. So we would say to ourselves, okay, so as I said, if you think about the general term for this particular topic would be finance. The focus term would be on the economy itself. The aspects to survey would be responsibility of wealth, the needs of home, clothes and food. So we've got a general idea now, okay? So we say to ourselves, all right, now, how do I put this jungle of disorder into some kind of order? Because what you would have done, this would be in your mind. You probably would not write this down on a piece of paper. You would merely be thinking to yourself, okay, what's my general point of view? What's my focus term? What are the aspects that I'm going to look at? So once you've got this basic little plan in your mind, then you can start to write. Therefore you say, okay, that's my plan. My introduction now might look something like the following. As I said, this would be an exposition piece, and as I've said on numerous occasions, we don't use the word I, because this is not a personalised piece, but we can use the word we. That's fairly acceptable, and I'm going to use it in this particular one simply because I want to draw in my readers, simply by the fact that this is about finance. So everybody deals with finance. So, all right. As a quick example of what I mean by that. So again, look again at the picture. It's just a piggy bank with somebody placing a coin into it. So straight away, we as a society rely on finance in order to live. It is becoming more imperative that we save money in order to buy what is necessary in life. So straight away, I've got this very general point of view. And that's all it is. At the present time, it's just very, very general. So I've not become specific as yet. So you open up with the very general point, and then as you continue, it becomes more specific. As I said, with this particular one. Now, so what would be more specific? So now I become a bit more specific about what I'm going to argue. So, it is vital to have shelter, clothing and food, and therefore money has become an important part of human life. So my body paragraphs now will simply rely on the following. That firstly, one, it's necessary in life. Secondly, it's vital to have shelter and clothing and food. That would be my second paragraph. I would put all of those into them. And then my final paragraph would simply be, it's become an important part of human life that we have money. They would be my quick body paragraphs after that. So again, the examiner looks at it and knows exactly where I'm going with my essay. As I said, it could be done as a creative piece, but as I said, that may limit you. And I say that simply because I would imagine that probably something like, let's make a terrible generalisation, say 87% of all students would write a story about saving up for a present, a new bike or something for their mum or dad. Now, and there's nothing wrong in that. They may do a wonderful job. But if you've got a huge number of these essays about buying a present for yourself or mum or dad, it's going to become pretty boring. So you want to show, okay, I'm just going to look at this from a financial point of view. Now, that may be a little more uninteresting to an extent, but nevertheless, what it's doing is showing that you have given this question deeper thought than somebody else. And that's what's important about it. And as I said earlier, one of the important things when it comes to writing is this way of thinking in an original and insightful way of looking at a particular topic. With this one, you look at it and you may think to yourself, not terribly interesting, I don't know what I'm really going to do about this one. Well, that's one way of doing it. As I said, if you can come up with an original idea, it doesn't necessarily have to be along the lines that I just gave there, but as long as it is insightful, original, it will make a huge difference. The other thing that will make a huge difference is your choice of language. Again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of vocabulary when it comes to writing. It's integral to good writing. It's integral to expressing your ideas. If you have a good vocabulary, you can make your points clearly and succinctly. Poor vocabulary, strangely enough, you will often find is very wordy because a student can't express him or herself in a very succinct way. So they use a lot of words to get their point across. This again entangles the writing and creates a rather vague and confusing sort of narrative. So again, make sure that you can improve upon your vocabulary. Make sure again that you have your topic sentences all the way through. And the topic sentences for each one of these, for example, would be rather simple. So if we then just looked at that particular introduction, one topic sentence may be, that would be one topic sentence. Notice too that I don't say people live from week to week along those lines. Many workers live from week to week. So I've said many, I've said who I'm referring to, workers, live from week to week. Now, I'd have to explain that because that's merely, may seem a bit vague by itself. So many workers live from week to week. Now, there's an example of what I mean. So again, you look at the picture that we have in front of us and we say, okay, it's about saving. So many workers live from week to week. That's my topic sentence. Now I've expanded upon it. The wage that the worker earns does not allow him or her to save, and this, my apologies, that should not be has. And this causes difficulty because they never have the finances to buy a home or land. So we're making a point there about the necessity of saving, and then we're also showing that it's very, very difficult for some people to actually save. Therefore, we're not simply looking at it from a very narrow point of view, suggesting that if you don't save, it's your fault. We're saying, okay, it is necessary to save, but unfortunately, many people in our society do not have the finances to do that. And so that way, you're showing that you understand how the economy works. You're showing also that you have an understanding rather than this blinkered view of the world. So that's one way of going about a particular piece of writing, especially when you've got something that looks almost childish on the front cover. So consider those ways of writing when it comes to the scholarship exam, or any form of writing for that matter. So until we meet again, thank you for your time.